If you're a PM, you want to know which companies and levels you should apply for, or which seniority, then this video is for you. There's no real minimum years of experience you should have on anything. It really all depends on whether you understand the thing, whether you've done the thing before. But beyond that, people are pretty much guessing. Basically ignore the years experience and instead focus on what the job actually wants us to do. If you imagine the hiring manager, they're just going to ask ChatGPT to create a job description based on a few prompts that they give it. Oh, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I think they're going to be doing. Could you please put together a job description? And then they'll make up a year's experience number and put it on the job. But when they think about the level that they put for the job description, it is based on an internal set of rubrics of how each company thinks about leveling. And mainly that has to do with a few things. It has to do with the scope, how many other people you influence, whether cross-functionally or in direct management, how much tactical or strategic work do you do? Pretty much everything that you think about in a level fits into those three criteria. If you're working on product features, small features, then big features, you can see how the level will change depending on the scope of work you take on. Leadership and people management is another true aspect of the level. At level 4, junior, to level 6 or 7, senior or group, you're going to be managing cross-functionally and your own direct different groups of people. And finally, the strategy piece, if you primarily work on launching, executing day-to-day, that is also going to be a real responsibility area and a real determinant in the level of the position. Those three buckets are real years of experience, and pretty much everything in the job description is not that important. So when you're looking at these jobs, try to find the three most important elements that you think the hiring manager put in there, and then try to rank these jobs in those three buckets. As you think about these three buckets, think also about your own career. That's a little bit about the leveling component. Now, different companies will have different names for it. They're going to call it lead PM or staff PM or senior PM. For most companies, it doesn't necessarily have a rhyme or a reason to it. You just have to look at the job description and figure out what they're trying to tell you, and based on that, figure out if you're a good fit or not. And if you've done that, you pretty much understand where you are, and you've calibrated that with a coach or someone else that understands these things. I'm talking about, again, scope of work, the leadership component, people management, and the strategy component. Once you get that, combine that with your self-assessment, and you have an idea of which roles from a leveling perspective you can apply for. Remember, you can stretch a little bit. It doesn't matter. Look at the job description, not the title, not the number of years experience. Now let's talk about the company selection. Let's talk about companies in a few broad buckets. The first one is your big tech companies. Their equity is liquid, their compensation is large, they have huge scope and impact. Second bucket are your up-and-coming startups. These are late-stage startups. Usually, I'm talking Stripe. These are companies that you might not even think of them as startups because they've been around for so long. The third bucket are your mid-stage or early-stage startups. Primarily mid-stage, I'm talking about companies that have found product market fit. Instead of saying early stage and mid-stage, let me just say pre-product market fit, post-product market fit. And just to remind you, product market fit means people want your products or services. All the companies you're going to be applying to will fall somewhere in those four buckets. So how do you think about where you should apply? Let's think about what is important for you and what is important for those companies. If you're planning to build a long and successful and financially rewarding product career, you do want to work in the top tech companies at least for a while. So if you haven't yet worked in these top tech companies, then this is a top priority for you, both because of the names, the recognizable names that you get from them, and the compensation. But everybody else in groups 2 and 3 are going to be more excited, so you have a lot of opportunities to choose from there. So you can have your pick of companies. And here you can optimize for a scope of work. You can optimize for the type of work, so something you're passionate or excited about, or compensation or role or title, meaning responsibility. If you're in this camp and you're not necessarily targeting compensation, then you could target to go to a smaller company like those in buckets 2 or 3 and then pick up additional experience that you may not have had. So you can leverage the recognizable names in order to build yourself some extra skills or some extra experiences along the lines that you will need later. And then finally, if you're early career, then really you should be targeting everyone, but realistically, if you have no recognizable names, expect to land somewhere in those buckets number 3 or 4, pre or post product market fit startups, and use them to rapidly develop your skill set or actually just build out your resume from an impact perspective. Wherever you are, I do recommend keeping your options pretty open and just scanning every day for the opportunities that come up. You never really know until you have that recruiter conversation of what the needs are, what the specifics are, and where there may be an opportunity for you to advance your career and work with some interesting companies. Now we get to the final point, which is what those companies are looking for. If you're a top tech recruiter or hiring manager, primarily you're looking for proven experience. And that usually means other recognizable top tech names. And then when you go to bucket 3 and bucket 4, if you're a pre or post product market fit recruiter, really you're just looking for people that execute. Think about how to apply to which companies and which level. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And if you're looking for your next role, please use the link in the description to schedule time to talk with our team about possibly joining the accelerator. See if we could team up, help you do it a little bit better. Thanks very much. See you next time.